Hello everyone. Hi guys, my name is Pawan and today we'll be learning about what is parliament, important components of parliament, complete aspect of parliament and the parliamentary committees. We'll be completing in a very small nutshell. So based on my notes or based on your basic last minute quick tips for your exams or those bases, I've just created this video for you all. So now there are three important parts for your parliament. That means that there are three important components in a parliament. Like there are two houses that you know, that is Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And yes, important three pillars of a parliament is about, one is president, house of people, and council of states. Now let me go directly into what is the composition of Rajya Sabha and what is the composition of Lok Sabha. So guys, in Rajya Sabha we have almost maximum of 250 people can be accumulated, in which 238 are the representation of the states and remaining from the union territories, and 12 people are being nominated by the president. So how will president nominate? A president will nominate on the basis that some people who is excellent in terms of science, so and so particular domains, those people will be nominated for it. Now, however, very important things you need to keep in the mind. First one, in Rajya Sabha, it is the representation of the states, representation of the union territories. Third one, it is basically nominated by the president. Representation of the states, union territories, and nominated by the president. Whereas in Lok Sabha, the overall strength of the Lok Sabha is 530 members, out of which 20 members comes from union territory, and remaining 2 are basically chosen as an Anglo-Indians. So basically same thing. So there is representation of states, union territory, and third thing is about the nominated members. So guys, these are the basic important composition of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. Now if I speak in terms of system of election in Lok Sabha, so there are four components. First one is that from territorial constituencies people might be selected. Second one is about readjustment after each census, based on the census wide elected members, we have MPs. So based on, for example, in Bangalore South represents Tejasvi Surya sir. So yeah, similar way, based on them selection is done. Reservation of the seats is also done in terms of SC, ST, and there is proper representation, very important to note. And yes, the duration of the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha is for 5 years, but however it can be dissolved and sometime it can even extend, for example, during national emergency still there can be an existence. I think it was during Indira Gandhi time, still there was a continuation of that beyond the 5 years ka regime overlooked, which needs to be analyzed from different spectrum for us. So now guys, when I speak in terms of membership of the parliament, the qualifications is that you should be for example, if you want to become one of the members of the parliament within the Lok Sabha limit or this one, we can observe that you should be an Indian and you should not be less than 30 years and should be qualified as prescribed by Lok Sabha. And disqualifications is that you should not hold office of profit, same thing. You should not be an unsound mind. You should if you are not a citizen of India, then you'll be disqualified. And other disqualifications could be disqualification on a law of the parliament, on if there is any upcoming laws on that basis, that can also be a validation for your disqualification. Now we even have ROPA Act, a representation of people's act, that also mentions certain kind of guidelines that needs to be followed while applying or attempting for election. So those things also plays an important role. Disqualification on the ground of defection, defection, I hope most of us are clear about it, but yeah, upcoming slides I will be letting you know much about the defection on the basis. Now, what are the ways in which there can be vacancies of seats? First one is a double membership. That means that if you are part of both the houses, then you will be removed. Vacancy, then you will be removed. Second one is on the ground of disqualification. Third one is if resignation, if some voluntarily try to resign, then. Fourth one is absence. For example, you're taking a leave for more than 60 days without any kind of notice of information, then you'll be removed. Fifth one is that other case, if election is declared as void, then there could be vacancy of the seats. Now, one of the most important thing which you need to keep in the mind, for example, is about the leaders in the parliament. So who are going to be the leaders in the parliament? Very simple. We have leaders of the house, ruling party, leaders of the opposition party, obviously whip, that is an assistant of serving leaders, and presiding officers of the parliament, like we have speaker, we have deputy speaker, we have panel of chairpersons in Lok Sabha, Speaker Pro Tem, and we have even Rajya Sabha. So in Rajya Sabha also we have chairman in Rajya Sabha, a deputy chairman in Rajya Sabha, panel and vice chairperson. I hope even vice president is also then in Rajya Sabha, and secretariat of the parliament. So guys, these are the major components of the Rajya Sabha. So guys, there are three kinds of sessions in parliament. One is the budget session. Only during these three sessions only the parliament is basically open. The budget session, the monsoon session and the winter session. So recently the budget session was over. So yeah, so these are the three sessions in parliament. However, there are important components, okay. So the language which you can use in the parliament is English and Hindi. And yes, the other major thing is that there can be an adjournment session, that is like from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Adjournment sine dine, like prorogation, dissolution, quorum. So this I'll be just telling in much detail, but for the time being, it's like a schedule. Like for example, आपके college का timetable में this hour this is going to happen, second hour this is going to happen, third hour this is going to happen. Similar way, those kind of classification is just mentioned over here. But however, that thing much informative essence is not there. But yeah, for your basic understanding. Second thing is about parliamentary proceedings. Like we have question hour. Question hour is like we have different kind of questions like start questions, unstart question, short notice question. Second one we have zero hour. A zero hour where we can ask questions to the parliamentarians, and question hour even we can also, like as a general public, we can also pose a question. Third thing is about motion. There are different kinds of motion, guys. One is substantive motion, substitute motion and subsidiary motion. So in substantive motion, it's an impeachment of the president, removal of the chief election officer. So they release such kind of motions for the dismissal of the members too. That could also be noted. So now basically the fourth important type of motion is called as calling attention motion. Fifth one is about adjournment motion. Sixth one, no confidence motion. Seventh one, motion of thanks. So basically, there are different kind of, we already learned about point of order. Point of order is in which, so these motions are basically raised in such a way that, for example, if the question should be raised or questions could be asked, it's one of the procedures of the parliament. So I'm just putting an analytical gist over here, but upcoming days I'll be just putting up much brief on it, just for you to understand. Normal glancing before, it's just a skeleton plan. Point of order is asking questions. Special mention, resolution. So resolutions are basically passed in government resolutions. We have statutory resolution and private member resolution. So these three resolutions are like an objectivity of before proceeding or making any kind of a law. So there is something called as ordinance bill, guys. There's something called as first reading, second reading and third reading, and then it goes like for example, a bill, it's like just not ordinarily passed. It's like there are three kinds of reading: first time, second time and third time. Only then it gets passed, then only it moves to the president for this one. But in terms of money bill and financial bill, yes, there is a joint sitting. Only once there is an what do we call consultation by both the parties or stakeholders, I mean like both the houses, only then majority of the decisions are basically taken up. So guys, now the funds, in terms of funds discussion, there are three kinds of funds. One is Consolidate Fund of India, like the salaries for IAS, IPS, IFS office and all go in terms of Consolidate Fund of India. Second is about Public Account of India and Contingent Fund of India. So all these fund regulation is also being done in the parliament during the session discussion, and there are multifunctional role of parliament. Okay, so first one is about legislative powers and functions, like all the legislative matters discussion is done. Executive matters, like in terms of law and order. Third one is about financial matters. Fourth one is about constitutional matters, if there is any kind of amendment in other basis needs to be done. Fifth one is about judicial matters, and sixth one is about electoral process. If there is any kind of changes needs to be any kind of alteration on those basis, all those discussions are basically done in the parliament in such a systematic manner. So guys, there are different kind of parliamentary committees. So in these parliamentary committees, first one, it is basically appointed by elected members. Basically, they are nominated by the speaker and the chairperson, and their directions is being basically regulated or monitoring is done by speaker and the chairperson. The president, or they constantly send these reports, for example, from those own committees and all, constantly send the reports like on what is the progress in terms of education, health, on that basis and all. So a secretariat, they make sure that they keep a constant track out of it. That plays a very important role. So there are different kind of standing committees. See guys, why these committees are set up in a simple way. For example, if there is any particular law, farmers bill needs to be presented. Before that, there is a thorough or review done by few committees, only then it comes. It doesn't come automatically in one day. So first one, we have financial committee, which looks in terms of financial matters. We have second one, department standing committee. All the department matters is taken care by them. And then we have a committee to inquiry committee, basically make sure that there is no kind of any kind of redressal things is happening, redressal grievances. Fourth one, committee to scrutinize and control. So all kind of scrutinizing work, controlling all this is basically done in this one. Fifth one is about committee to relating to the day-to-day activities of business. All its functionalities, formalities is seen by this particular house. And then we have housekeeping committee. It's like a regulation of the parliament. Seventh one, we have ad hoc committees. So ad hoc is like, ad hoc committees comes like based on the need of the hour. For example, if any particular law needs to be passed, then obviously that particular kind of committee is basically set up to basically see how efficiently that committee can play a very important role. So guys, this is mainly about the standing committees.